Welcome to the Pursuing Points podcast, where it's all about the pursuit of credit card points and miles today so that you can travel the world free of charge tomorrow. And now, your host, Peter Foti.
All right. Hello, and welcome to the 12th Pursuing Points podcast. I'm your host, as always, Peter, and today, this is the first podcast of 2017. So, Happy New Year to the listeners. Hope everybody had a good set of holidays and they feel refreshed and rejuvenated. Obviously, everybody's back to work at this point and whatnot, so that's all good. As far as the podcast goes, I realize episodes have been somewhat sporadic as of late. Still trying to find a proper cadence with regards to how often I want to publish these. Certainly, I would love to be able to publish every single day. I just don't necessarily think that I have the content to do that, so might be settling on once a month, maybe twice a month, somewhere in that range. Obviously, that depends upon the guests that we have available and whatnot, but thinking maybe once a month, maybe once every other month, but we'll see. I have received numerous emails, especially since the last episode, some of them with questions, others with just words of encouragement and comments, and others still with guest recommendations. I do read all of these. I try to respond to all of them as well. So if you have sent me an email, I appreciate it. I actually had the opportunity to have lunch with a listener not too long ago that was in the area. We happen to live in the same city, which was pretty interesting. So this podcast, for me is obviously it allows me to speak to people and bring that content to the listeners. Help reaffirm some of the things I know. And then when I answer your questions, the things that I don't know, it allows us to both learn. So that's really the reason I like doing this. And one of the reasons I want to continue, even if we have to cut back the number of episodes. But anyway, we kind of got that out of the way. So, that's all to say. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your emails. Please continue to send them. If you have guest recommendations, please be sure to send them as well. I will contact the people that you tell me to, and then hopefully we can get them on the show. So today's episode, I am going to talk about a couple things. So the first one is obviously 2017 rolled around. And not sure if I mentioned on the last podcast or not, but I did make Delta Platinum Medallion for 2017. I think I earned the status in, I want to say November, maybe it wasn't even till December actually. 2016, I had some unexpected business travel at the last minute, and that put me over the top, which was awesome. So I am Platinum for 2017, and as part of that, I was able to choose a choice benefit. So for those of you who aren't necessarily aware, when you're a Delta, either Platinum or Diamond Medallion, Delta affords you an opportunity to choose what they refer to as a choice benefit. So if you're a Platinum, you get to choose one choice benefit, and if you're a Diamond, you get to choose two. So what are your options? Well, for Platinums, you can choose either 4 regional upgrade certificates, 1 global entry application voucher, 20,000 bonus miles. You can gift silver medallion status to somebody, or you can redeem for a $200 gift card. And the Diamond choice benefits are pretty much the same. Obviously, they're just sort of the next level up. So instead of 20,000 miles, you can get 25,000. Instead of gifting silver status, you can gift gold. And then your upgrade certificate options are much better. You can either get 4 global or 8 regional or 2 global and 4 regional. And it also has an option in there for redeeming for a Delta Sky Club executive membership upgrade. So being able to choose one of these obviously is nice. And, this was sort of my first big points decision of the year. So like I said, I am a Platinum. And so as I'm running through these options, I had to sort of, do a mental checklist, pros and cons. So right off the bat, the global entry application voucher, we're just going to throw away. I already have TSA PreCheck, but I've also got that same benefit as far as the voucher with something like the Sapphire Reserve if I need it. So The global entry application voucher didn't even enter my frame of mind, reference, whatever. That was just not something that provided any real value to me. The second one that I just totally crossed off was gifting of silver medallion status. Now, I obviously cross it off simply because I generally travel alone. I don't have a significant other, for instance, that I might want to give this to, or a wife for that matter. So there was really no value in it there. And I've also read some articles that say, that's one of the worst redemptions because I guess it doesn't last as long. I don't have all the details on that. Hopefully someday we can get a guest on here who can maybe speak to that a little bit better, but simply, because it wasn't something I was super interested in, I didn't really look into it all that much. But just know that if you plan on using a choice benefit on that, I would do a little bit of research to try and understand the ins and outs of that, because I don't think it works exactly how we think it does. Anyway, so what did that leave me with? That left me with either 4 regional upgrade certificates, 20,000 bonus miles, or a gift card for $200. Now, when I started my journey towards earning medallion status, if you had asked me which choice benefit I would have chosen, I would have simply said 4 regional upgrade certificates, and I wouldn't have even thought twice about it. But that was also at a time when I thought that the highest level of status I might earn was gold, and I would be able to use those upgrade certificates because I wouldn't necessarily qualify for a ton of free upgrades. But here I am now with platinum status, and obviously a very small sample size. I've only had platinum status for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 flights. But in my experience, I've gotten upgraded on pretty much all of them. So the thing about the regional upgrade certificates is that they expire, right? So they do have a shelf life. I believe it's 1 year after you get them. So basically, it would have been January of 2018 they would have expired if I didn't use all 4 of them. And at least right now, I didn't have any real travel planned where I was concerned about not getting an upgrade, right? So, in other words, I don't have any trips between JFK and LAX planned where it's like, okay, this is where I would use an upgrade certificate. So basically, as I was running through this in my head, pros and cons, the cons are certainly that they could expire without me being able to use all of them. The pro, of course, is that you put yourself at the top of the list. But because I wasn't sure if and when I'd be able to use all 4 of them in 2017, I ultimately decided that the upgrade certificates weren't really for me. Obviously, other people, this is not to say that that's not a good redemption. And, if you have travel planned where it's maybe a transcontinental flight and you want to ensure that you're kind of up in the front, well, getting these certificates is a way to make sure your name is at least at the top, and then you'll have the best chance of getting up there. But for me, with 2017, obviously I don't have a ton of travel planned. I was scared that I wouldn't be able to use them, and for that reason, I didn't choose the upgrade certificates. So what do we have left? So now we have the bonus miles and the gift card. Now, with the gift card, it's $200. So it's a fixed price redemption, so to speak. You know exactly what you're getting, right? It's $200, and then there is no wiggle room. And I should note that you could also get a $200 Tiffany & Co. gift card, but that, again, did not even really cross my mind. So we got rid of that. So with the $200 travel voucher, you know exactly what you're getting. It's a fixed value redemption. That's that. And then the bonus miles, 20,000 bonus miles, theoretically, if we use the 1 cent per point, is equivalent in value to the $200 voucher. Of course, if you're able to find a redemption for greater than 1 cent per point, well then, the points are worth whatever the redemption is valued at, essentially. So this is what I had to decide between. And basically what it came down to for me is a couple things. So one, the $200 travel voucher does expire as well. So it's only valid for 12 months from the date of issuance. That being said, I was 100% confident that I would be able to use this. Matter of fact, spoiler alert, I ultimately went for the gift card and I've already used it. but I want to just talk through my rationale a little bit. So with the gift card, although it did expire, I was confident I'd be able to use it, and I knew exactly the value that I'd be getting, right? $200. With the bonus miles, so there was a few reasons why I decided not to go for the miles. One, I've already got several 100,000 Delta miles, and I'm in this sort of weird position where as much as I'd like to use them, I don't necessarily want to, I would almost feel like using those miles, even though the flight would be technically free, that I'd be leaving all these MQMs on the table, right? Because I want to obviously continue to qualify for status year over year. At some point, that's going to come to a head because, you got to use your miles. Even though Delta miles don't expire, it would still be nice to use them once in a while. So anyway, as far as the miles, I felt like I already had a lot more than I could use. And that was really the main reason why I decided not to go for the miles. So again, this is all to say, ultimately I ended up choosing the $200 Delta travel voucher, which I've already used. I already booked a flight in April. And I think that flight was something like $260. I applied the voucher, it cost me about $50 or whatever. So fixed value redemption, $200, with the miles, there was a chance that they would be worth even more. But I just didn't really feel strongly about, doing that. Now, if I had qualified for Diamond, obviously it would have gone a little bit differently. So if I had qualified for Diamond, you get to choose 2 benefits. And with Diamond, you can choose 2 global and 4 regional upgrade certificates, and you can get something else. So if I was a Diamond, probably would go for either 2 global and 4 regional, or just 4 global upgrade certificates. And again, I would only really do that if I knew that I was going to travel globally in 2017, because those will expire. But if I knew I was going to travel globally, certainly I would go for the global upgrade certificates. And then my second redemption might be probably 25,000 miles, simply because, I guess it would either be 25,000 miles or the voucher. Obviously, the 25,000 miles represents a larger valuation over the voucher. Again, it comes with the same problem as, when are you going to use the miles and whatnot. But, I think from a pure value perspective, if you're a Diamond, I think 4 global certificates and 25,000 miles is probably your best bet. But again, I didn't qualify for Diamond, and unless I someday have a job that requires me to travel a lot, I don't necessarily foresee myself ever reaching Diamond. Because even for Platinum, I had to fly a lot, and I didn't even have to fly as much as someone who only earns Platinum through flying, because I was able to meet those MQM bonuses for my Delta Platinum Amex. So earning status is relatively difficult, which is a good thing because you want the numbers to be small. But this is all to say that I don't necessarily think I'll be talking about my Diamond benefits anytime soon. So talked about that. Now, the other thing that I wanted to touch on is a quick update. So in the last episode, I talked about doing some credit card spring cleaning. I downgraded my Sapphire Preferred to a Freedom Unlimited, Chase Amazon, canceled, Discover It, called to cancel, requested a retention bonus, and was very surprised that they offered me such. So I did meet the minimum spend, which was $1,000, and now I'm waiting for $100 to hit the account. So that's awesome. And for now, I'm not really making any more moves on some of my older cards. I did spend some money on some old ones, waited for them to cycle and paid them off just to sort of keep them active. I think in the next month or so, I have like a Bank of America cash rewards card that I'm going to call on and see if I can get a retention. If not, I'll probably cancel that. And I have a few others as well. And then lastly today, I wanted to just touch on the Sapphire Reserve. So obviously we've spent a lot of time on this show talking about the Sapphire Reserve. Pretty much everybody has been talking about the Sapphire Reserve. The 100,000 point bonus was pretty unprecedented for that type of card, for a personal credit card that required the minimum spend that it did. And, I think pretty much everybody has one of these now. But now the sign-up bonus is back down to $50K. And some of the emails that I've been receiving from listeners has been, which card would you sign up for now, the Reserve or the Preferred? And I guess, it kind of depends. So basically, the way that I look at it is the Preferred has a fixed annual fee of $95. The Reserve has what I'm just going to call a variable annual fee of $450. And it's variable because it has that $300 travel credit. So if you can meet the $300 in travel spend, your annual fee is effectively only $150. So there's that $55 delta between the Reserve and the Preferred. So then how do you make up that ground? Well, obviously it has priority pass lounge access, which is part of the way towards getting you there. And if you can make use of that often, well, then that's probably in and of itself enough. But for me, I don't make use of it enough, so I'm not really interested in that. The second thing, of course, is that you get 3 points per dollar on travel and dining rather than 2. So you need to spend about $1,800 on those bonus categories to completely offset the 55. Everything thereafter is just going to be icing on the cake. So I guess I would say a couple things. One, if you don't think you can meet the $300 in travel spend, frankly, I don't think that you need this type of credit card, right? The Sapphire Reserve really shines for someone that could spend a lot of money on travel or just does spend a lot of money on travel sort of naturally. And so if you're not that person, really, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Not everybody spends a lot of money on travel. But I would say that if you can't do that with a $50,000 sign-up bonus, the value proposition is just less. Frankly, at that point, because the annual fee is generally weighted on the Preferred, I would just go for the Preferred to take the 50,000 points. But, year over year, this is a card you're going to keep. I think that $55 delta, if you're someone who can spend more than $300 a year on travel, then I think that the Reserve is really a no-brainer. So I plan on keeping my Reserve for some time. Like I said, I downgraded my Preferred to a Freedom Unlimited. And right now, the bulk of my spend, obviously, I put a lot of it on the Platinum Amex because I'm trying to get those MQM bonuses. But bonus categories usually goes on the Reserve. And then I also have the Freedom to sort of round it out for categorical bonuses quarter over quarter. And that's basically that. My Reserve, my Ultimate Rewards strategy is that I don't really have one. Right now I've got about as many points in there as I do on Delta, and no real plans of redemption. That being said, I did recently just use some points towards a hotel stay, and I did it through the Ultimate Rewards portal, so I received a 50% bonus. And really, I also, and that's one of the things I didn't even mention with the Reserve, but I think that that's a huge benefit. So, you'll often see or hear of point valuations, and you'll hear things like 1.8, 1.9, 2, 2.1, etc. for some of these Ultimate Rewards products. And while for some people, I believe that those are attainable, especially if you know how to search and you often want to redeem your points for first class, because that's really where those valuations start to creep up into the higher numbers when you can use your points for a ticket that might cost $2,000, even though you'd probably never pay $2,000 in cash for that ticket. If you can redeem, say 50,000 points, well then, that's how you end up with those high valuations. But for normal, everyday people, or even those who don't want to spend the time researching those types of redemptions, which frankly, I would say the weakest part of my quote-unquote credit card points game is in the redemptions. I'm much more interested in maximizing value of my expenditures. And then when it comes time to redeem, although I do want the best value for my money, I'm not interested in spending days searching. So for me, that 50% bonus on the Ultimate Rewards portal is awesome. So, if you're considering between the reserve and the preferred, and you know that you can spend the money, or maybe you're kind of on the fence, I mean, that 50% bonus is huge. And obviously it's only 25% with the preferred. So obviously I wouldn't use Ultimate Rewards Portal for something like first class travel because, at a $2,000 ticket, I could probably use points to find a better value. But for things like economy tickets, hotel rooms, cruises, rental cars, etc., that 50% bonus is awesome. So keep that in mind. If you're still, if you still have questions or you're on the fence and you want some advice, as always, just, feel free to email me and, I'll try to help you as best that I can. And I think that's going to do it. So this episode is a little over 20 minutes, which I think is a good time, especially for the episodes that I'm going to be doing by myself. Hope to have some guests on in 2017 that people are excited about. And yeah, thanks again for listening. Feel free to email me. And until the next time, I will see you guys later.